Alright, so I'm here with my Dodge 3500 Ram pickup truck, and previously I did a video that showed you how to get this window up. If you rolled it down and the switch didn't get it back up, showed you how to take this panel off and jumper it and get the window back up. Today I'm going to actually try to fix the wiring, and so what we're going to do is get to this piece right here. We're at the door and there's this booted piece here. And essentially, what we're going to start off with trying to do is peel this covering back. This kind of fits over a plastic piece, and probably may need a screwdriver to get that started. But get that peeled back, and then we're going to take a ohm meter, and we're going to try to figure out if any of these wires are bad from this side to this side, and then we can replace it. Now if we can't figure that out, we may have to figure out if they're bad from maybe the other side of that, on the inside of this to somewhere in the door. So we'll probably have to take the panel off. That might help to make sure we're doing the right color wires anyway. So I'll probably just take the panel off here real quick. So to get the panel off, we're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, and that's going to fit in this screw right here. We're going to unscrew our door lock, and we're going to take a Torx 40 and up underneath here, you might have to get a flashlight to see the screw, but up underneath here there's a Torx 40 bit, and we're going to take that out. And that Torx 40 bit is kind of on the, it's in there, but it's kind of on the top part of this handle. That comes out. You see where the Torx bit was, and then we can just grab this lift, and then on the inside here there's a connector. We disconnect, and then the panel comes off. Alright, so now I can see the colors of my wires that go here, and if you remember from my other video, if I jumper this wire to this wire, and then I connect this wire to this wire, my window will go down. So I think these two wires here just supply the power, and then this here is the switch connection. So I should need my wire that is orange and blue, and my wire that is orange and gray, it looks like. I may be colorblind, but that's what it looks like to me, is orange and gray and orange and blue are the two wires that I'm looking that I suspect are bad. And so if I look over here, there's my orange and blue right there, and there's my orange and gray. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is see if I can get this other end of this boot off, and then just check to see if the wires broke between here and here, because when you open the door, this is what moves, and supposedly this movement makes these wires break. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is check that. So now I can get to both sides of that wire and check it. As a matter of fact, I can see we got a problem already. See, that wire's bent, and that wire there is exposed, and that's one of my, that's my blue and my orange with my blue, and that's an orange and white. But that's one of my two wires right there. You can see it's got a cut on it, and my orange that's my orange and gray right there. You can see it's got some damage to the casing too, up there at the top. So I suspect that's my problem. Now, if I look over here, I've got some tape that's kind of got this bound up with this other cable here. I'm going to cut that tape, and I think that may allow these wires to pull out some and get better access to them to fix them. Alright, so peeled this back. There's a back end of that clip. And instead of trying to cut it or anything, I'm just going to try to compress it and push it through the hole like that, and that gets that wire free, or at least a lot more free than it was. And you can see there something inside's been rubbing up against those wires. I don't think that's just from me pulling it out there that once, so time to check those wires. Alright, so I'm going to take my multimeter here and I'm going to set it to the ohm speaker setting. That way when I touch these two ends together, they're going to make that beeping noise. Okay? So that means that if I touch this wire and this end of the wire, that end of the wire, and it beeps, I know the wire is good. So I'm going to start by touching this blue and gold, or this orange and blue wire here on this end, and also here at the connector. Alright, so that makes a beeping noise. That means my wire is good from here to there. It doesn't mean it's good from here to here. I'm going to check that in just a second. So my other wire is this orange and gray wire. And I don't see a natural break in the casing, but I'm going to make one. But instead of making one here and there, I'm just going to make one over here. Alright, so we got our orange and our gray wire here. I'm going to just peel back a little bit of that casing, that insulation, to where I can touch it with my probe. And I'll put this over here on the connector on the blue and, or the orange and gray. I'm going to touch this wire. Alright, those are making connection. Alright, so my other two suspect wires were the orange and the white, and this tan and blue. So let's check those. Here's my orange and my white wire. Again, I'm just going to nick some of this insulation off and cover this up with electrical tape when we're done. Alright, so orange and white over here, and orange and white. So that wire looks good. Alright, so I got a problem. I got a tan and yellow and a tan and blue connector over here, but I don't have a tan and blue and a tan and yellow wire that comes out this way over this way. So it must go somewhere else in this wiring harness. Right? They go down here to the motor. So that leaves me with a problem that it may not be my wiring that is the issue. Okay, so my wires are good from here to the switch, or to the cable, the connector, and I know my wires are good from the connector to the motor because the motor works. So that leads me to suspect maybe the switch is bad. So we're going to test the switch and see if it works. Alright, so if you remember from our other video, we had to connect this terminal to that terminal, jumper those for the window to go down, and or for it to go up. So click the switch up, click the switch down. It's not connecting. So I think this switch is bad. We're going to order a new one of these, put it in there, and see if it works. Get this switch out. It's real easy. You just got to push these sides out a little bit. It would help if I grab the screwdriver. That pops right out. So we'll order a new one of those and see if it fixes it. And while I'm waiting on the new one to come in, we're just going to get some electrical tape and patch up those places there where I peeled the insulation back, and we're going to put some tape around these things too where they had abraded somehow. Put this back together, and then when the switch comes in, we'll check it, make sure that fixed it. Alright, so we got our new part in here. Plug this in and see if it works. Now remember, the old one rolled down but wouldn't roll up. So we got the down, we got the up. That's what it was, bad switch. $8 and some odd cents, I think. Alright, when you go to put this back on, your door latch bolt may get in the way, may not be lined up right. So if you take and you put your knob back on there, screw it on just a thread or two, it'll help keep that lined up with the hole while you line up the rest of these holes. And then push it down into place. There we go. All done.